welcome to this special broadcast, first anniversary of the Himanta Biswa Sarma government in Assam. In the next 2 hours, we shall be examining the man, his vision, mission, style of work, and his mass appeal. Ever since he assumed office on the 10th of May last year as the new Chief Minister of Assam, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has been working non-stop to translate not just his election promises to reality, but implement his dream of making Assam one of the 5 topmost states in the country. Keeping pace with him is a challenging task, a fact realized by his cabinet colleagues and party MLAs besides, of course, the bureaucracy. He began by giving a clear directive to the Assam police to eradicate 7 evils afflicting the state: trade and consumption of drugs, crime against women and children, rhino poaching, cattle smuggling, terrorism, encroachment of land, and crude oil pilferage. His idea was to make Assam crime-free. Empowerment and uplift of women was among his priority areas, and he began by deciding to relieve up to 25 lakh women from their microcredit loan burden. A whopping rupees 1600 crore has already been spent by the Assam government towards this end in the first phase. Dr. Sarma also kept his promise of providing 1 lakh jobs to the youths of Assam in a bid to tackle head-on the unemployment problem that his government has inherited from the past. Assam's new Chief Minister has been credited with introducing many firsts in the state. One of them has been the decision to hold weekly cabinet meetings and not to keep files pending. And the decision to hold such cabinet meetings in the districts is something that has helped the ministers understand the problems in the far-flung areas better. Dr. Sarma's initiative in connecting with the indigenous Assamese Muslims and attempting to understand their problems has been hailed by the community, as he became the first Chief Minister in Assam to directly address the issues and grievances faced by them. Dr. Sarma has been recognized not just as an able administrator, but as a master political strategist. His capacity to stitch alliances has been a huge boon for his party, the BJP. As convener of the Northeast Democratic Alliance, or NEDA, Dr. Sarma has consolidated the BJP's ties with the regional parties across the Northeast. He is a man with a foresight, and this is reflected in the fact that the BJP has allies in the region, even though the party does not require their numbers in the state legislatures. No wonder Dr. Sarma has an appeal across the region and is seen as a leader who has been able to present a unified voice of the Northeast in the corridors of power in New Delhi. I have a galaxy of personalities tonight joining me from various locations in the country to talk on what makes Himanta Biswa Sarma tick, and also to assess his government's policies and programs during his first year in office. Before we begin the discussion, let us listen from none other than Riniki Bhuya Sharma, leading business leader and philanthropist, and of course, the wife of Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. I had a conversation with her yesterday. Let's listen in to Riniki Bhuya Sharma. The government of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma in Assam has completed 1 year in office today. I have with me Ms. Riniki Bhuya Sharma, business leader and philanthropist, and of course, the wife of Chief Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. Ms. Riniki Bhuya Sharma, welcome.
Thank you so much, Vasudha.
You see, as his better half, what do you think of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma as Chief Minister, and what do you think of his government's performance during the past 1 year?
As Himanta's government for the past 1 year, and as his performance as a Chief Minister, I would rather speak from the layman's term of a view, because which I have seen and I have heard the people's feedback and the kind of way and the speed that he has been taking forward in his work, because normally when we are home, so we normally not really very much talk about politics.
Yeah.
So when he is back home after his hard day, and sometimes like when we come across, like when we talk or sit across at the table, then he tries to talk about his visions or where he would like to take Assam forward in his views or in his visions which he has planned.
Right.
In this matter, like when I talk with him or like when I'm having the feedbacks, so since I'm personally myself is also into the media, so hearing a lot of people like what his work has been and how he has been doing and how he's been progressing forward, I hope and I believe and I have very strong hopes that his government is really doing a very great job. And since it is only his 1 year, and his real works will be start reflecting from the next year and so on.
Absolutely. You mean to say that he has laid the foundation
Yes.
of, and this which he is going to complete in the next 4 years
Yes.
of his term. Now, you know, he has been an elected legislator for more than 2 decades. Now, what changes have you noticed in him now that he is the chief minister?
He has been a workaholic all throughout, and as far as when his work starts, like there is no night or a day for him. So until unless he finishes the task, it is like a never-ending job for him. So his workaholic nature has been like a part of with us, so which I've been doing. But now as a chief minister, I find him more confident, and so whatever, because he has been materializing what he has, like has his visions in front of his
He has
eyes.
been able to, you mean to say that he has been able to translate his dreams into reality?
Right, he has been translating his dreams and whatever visions he has in mind, so he has been able to take forward.
Now, you know, you have said that you usually do not talk politics at home, but what do you talk at home? Is it on family issues, or does he talk about his plans and programs, what he is planning for the state and the people?
To be on a lighter note, we talk more about Jalukbari.
Okay.
So that is our heart, our soul, and from where he has been elected as a member of Legislative Assembly for so many number of years. Right. But although in between his works, sometimes when I say like you don't give time to home, he tries to be a father by force. Like he'll try to ask his children what he's doing, what they are going, where they then my. But it's a very beautiful part of our journey. With best of his intentions, he tries to be very much a family man, but still his work and load which he has in his hand, but deep inside he wants to be an all-rounder.
No, I have recently seen some pictures where he is posing, you know, he is a perfect pose with the family, you know, during, I mean, it's not really a holiday, but it's work come holiday, but I see him posing.
Yeah, it was a visit to Karbi Anglong, and he told us like, Rimi, my son is coming, let's go. But later when I reached Karbi Anglong, I realized that it was not a holiday. It was a work visit, and we were about to go for a beautiful show in an auditorium, and we were all dressed in our attire. So I was telling him like, since we four doesn't get together,
let's take a picture.
So let's take a picture, and he was sitting like a king in between, and we were all laughing. But that was a very good light moment of our lives.
Now, you know, does he set targets for himself? Why I'm asking you this question is that he always appears to be a man in a hurry, man on a mission. You know, like he travels across the state, personally monitors schemes and programs. He personally likes to supervise them. So does he set targets for himself?
Targets are there, but the thing is that, as you said, he's a man in a hurry. So like, and he really visualizes, and he's a very passionate worker, you see. So when he goes, and there are some things which he immediately takes an action. For example, okay fine, I'll work from 1 to 10. But if he says that something needs to be done, he takes the 11th step also, he takes the 12th step also.
Yeah.
And whatever he does, he make it sure that it is a full round holistic circle that he takes care of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I have been talking to very important leaders of the BJP and other alliance partners in the state. They're saying that, in Assamese, they said, Baro Baji Goise. He's a workaholic, right, because he's constantly on the move. You have never seen a chief minister who is touring every single day, personally monitoring things. So you are yourself a very busy person. So how is it being, he is there, nowhere to be seen because he's all the time outside. You are yourself busy. How is it being being the wife of a workaholic like Himanta Biswa Sarma?
It is difficult, but one good thing about him is that, as I have already constantly been saying in all my interviews, that somewhere he manages to find time. Yeah. And although it is at odd hours, he'll come at 2 o'clock and try to wake up his children, but they are also used. Acha, he comes home at 2 o'clock and wakes up the children. Wakes them up and suddenly...
Just to have a chat or something?
Just to have a chat, and they'll keep on us. And then suddenly, when all of us are there, we realize that all three of us are jumping and he's fast asleep.
Oh God, so, that's interesting.
But he tries to be.
Now, every leader has some dream, and what do you think are his dreams for Assam? He may be talking about that to you at times. So what are his basic major focus as far as Assam is concerned?
He always keeps on telling his vision for Assam, and he always dreams about a beautiful Assam coming up, and he wants to take Assam in the national map. So that, because Assam, like always, we think that it has been a very neglected zone. People from other parts don't really know about Assam. So he said that let us work in such a way so that Assam comes in the national map, and everybody knows, like they should know about what Assam is, the history, the environment, the culture, which is nowhere anywhere like in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have you told him anything on your own about what his priorities and focus should be? Because you may be also having your own ideas which you might like to see implemented. Why not throw your husband, who is the chief minister?
Yeah, but normally when we two are a combination, so I am personally completely into the business side of the entrepreneur side of the life, and he's completely a politician.
Yeah.
So when we talk, then I normally used to say, like, I'm not in the circuit of your people, so I always observe you from outside. So when can I see? When I see you talking and I observe you while handling your people or the people who comes, one thing keep in mind, since you are a visionary and you have got great dreams for Assam, the basic thing that you should have is your head on your shoulders. And normally in this kind of life, it is not very easy.
Absolutely. I think that's a very, very grounded and sane advice, I would say. Suppose you see something wrong, either deliberately or otherwise. Would you be willing to point it out to him? Ever? Suppose, I'm not saying that anything wrong has happened. In case there is something wrong, steps taken by him or his government, would you be willing to tell it to him?
Yes. First of all, Wasbir, I would like to say that we are all human beings.
Yes.
And we might have errors.
Absolutely.
If we are perfect, we would have been God. So and in the last 20 years also, and now after he being the CM, people might feel some difficult to point it out also. But as a wife, it is my duty to just point it out, but the decision, it is his.
Absolutely.
What he takes.
Absolutely.
But if I see from my eyes that it is wrong,
you will definitely point out.
101%.
Recently, we saw a very interesting spectacle that was in Kaziranga, where Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma was having a meeting with all his legislators of the BJP and alliance partners over 2 days. Then suddenly we saw him meeting a 90-year-old lady who had come to meet him regarding some problem for which she was not finding a solution. She was moving from pillar to post. She was not finding a solution. She was trying to draw the attention of the chief minister. When he learned that this lady is waiting for him, he came and he sat down almost at her feet and started listening to her problems, took the memorandum or letter from her and gave it to his aides to sort it out. And this video has gone viral across the nation and said that here is a chief minister who is sitting at the feet of a lady and listening, of an old lady, and listening to her grievances, her problems, and trying to solve it. Now, when you see this kind of a thing, this kind of an extraordinary thing, what do you feel? Or do you think Himanta Biswa Sarma, that is in his nature?
This is the first time actually, Wasbir, that has been seen in the video after he has become a Chief Minister of Assam.
Right.
Because he's always on the camera. But I would like to point out that it is a second nature. And I've been doing this all throughout. Not even before I have met him, as I told in other interviews, that I met him at the age of 17 years. From then, as a young boy, I don't know, this has got a very compassionate behavior. So, like, even if he sees somebody seeing on the road, a small boy, he would not give money, but he would take the food, he would feed them. And that is where his happiness lies. And he has been doing it for years, and under him we are running 2 trusts also. One is for the specially able children, and we have got 29 kids who has been home away from home, and that is one part which he never forgets to ask any day.
Would you then say that he is a very soft-hearted person with a very, very humane touch? Anything he finds people in distress, he comes forward to help them.
He although appears very strong and very tough, but somewhere if you see what the real Himanta Biswa Sarma is, he's a very soft person. I would let small incident. My son was small and I had an operation. So unknowingly my son just hit my my face, and the immediate reaction was a slight spank on my son. Then after 2 minutes there was a howling crying. Then I thought the son was crying, but the son was happy. Then I saw someone crying and said that you hit me, don't hit my son, and he was howling and crying.
Oh, that was Himanta Biswa Sarma?
That was Himanta Biswa Sarma. He is someone who doesn't even allow, till now, when he sees anything like in our family also, but if he sees somebody waiting outside in the gate also, he will call, he will make him sit, he will feed them, and he finds happiness in that, and that is his thorough character.
Is he a very spiritual kind of a person?
Too spiritual. I would call too spiritual, and every day it makes it a point that remembering the God sitting in the mandir, and he tries to pray, although among his Birishwar, I thought he will forget after being the CM, but still now every day 10 minutes he sits, he does his meditation, then he goes out.
Himanta Biswa Sarma, thank you very much for speaking to me and giving our viewers an insight into the man that is Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, and help us decode his vision, his dreams, and his passion with which he is working from Assam and the people.
Thank you so much, Wasbir. Thank you for inviting me to the show. And, thank you so much.
Well, that was Himanta Biswa Sarma giving us an inside view of what happens in the Himanta Biswa Sarma household, what they talk, what is his nature, his daily life, and his vision for Assam. Well, Himanta Biswa Sarma, in a candid best, giving us a sneak peek into what Himanta Biswa Sarma actually is. Let's now begin the discussion. Viewers, joining me from Kolkata is BJP leader, former MP and well-known thinker Swapan Gupta. BJP national spokesperson and Supreme Court lawyer Nalin Kohli joins me from New Delhi. In Shillong, I have Meghalaya NPP President and Rajya Sabha MP Dr. W.R. Karluki. Manipur Health Minister Dr. Sapam Ranjan Singh is in Imphal. Joining me from Pasighat in Arunachal Pradesh is veteran Congress leader and former MP Ninong Ering. In Kohima, I have Cabinet Minister and Nagaland BJP President Temjen Imna Along. Joining me from Guwahati are two BJP MPs from Assam, Pallab Losan Das and Pabitra Margherita. And at the studios with me in Guwahati are two very respected commentators from Assam. Dr. Nonigopal Mohanto, who is currently the education advisor to the Assam government, and Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, professor from Guwahati University. Nonigopal Mohanto, Dr. Nonigopal Mohanto is just about to join me. He's on way actually to the studio. Gentlemen, welcome to this special broadcast. I'd like to begin by going straight to you, Mr. Swapan Das Gupta. First of all, thank you very much for joining this show tonight. Mr. Swapan Das Gupta, of course, is a former BJP MP, and he is a well-known commentator and a journalist, and of course, one of India's best minds. Mr. Swapan Das Gupta, you know, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma is clearly the face of the BJP in the Northeast. How do you regard him as a leader? What are some of the qualities in him that makes him different in your considered view?
Well, Wasbir, I think firstly you're very right in saying that Himanta Biswa Sarma has emerged as the most important face of the BJP in Assam and the other northeastern states. His reputation as a skillful administrator is of course not confined to the east. It has a certain national reputation. What is quite clear about Himanta is the fact that he combines a certain deftness in administration with a lot of political clarity. And I think one of the features which Himanta Biswa Sarma has shown over the years is that when it comes to administrative rigor, he is second to none. There are many politicians who are very good in mobilizing agitational politics, but fail when it comes to administration. I think in the case of Himanta, it's quite clear that he manages to combine both of them.
I'm coming to you, Dr. Karluki, but Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, you know, you've heard Swapan Das Gupta, they're saying that, you know, he combines a lot of qualities. He is an able administrator and so on. Now, what are your thoughts, Himanta Biswa Sarma? What makes Himanta Biswa Sarma tick?
Thank you very much. Let me at the very outset congratulate Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma for completing 1 year of his tenure as the Chief Minister. And you know it very well that I have been a consistent critic of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. I'll say that I'm a critical admirer of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. So, the very important quality that he does is this, that he can reach out anyone and he can speak out his mind like anything. Reaching out everyone is very important when he talks about politics. Look at for last 2 decades of his politics, you know, he has been trying his best to reach out his own political opponents, and when he joined BJP, he created the Rainbow Alliance, bringing in all those political forces whom he consistently targeted or criticized when he was in Congress. But most importantly, when you talk about Hindutva politics, he has given a new brand of Hindutva politics in Northeast India by bringing in all these ethnic tribal communities into the fold of BJP. And you know that in my book, when I was talking about Hindutva regime in Assam, I have given the title, saffron in the rainbow. Now there is a rainbow bringing in all ethnic groups together into the fold of BJP, but it has a saffron color in, it has been trying to be driven by this saffron. Therefore, what I understand is that whatever task he takes up, he plans it in such a way that it can be taken into, the conclusion, or it taken into a kind of fallout or outcome. I'll be talking about it a bit critically when I come to his performance and all, but then as a politician, he has definitely done his best to take Assam into the, national frame, or the national reputation, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. Let me quickly take opening remarks from everyone. At this point, I'd like to welcome Dr. Nanigopal Mohanto to the studios, well-known commentator, education advisor to the government of Assam. Coming to you, Dr. Karluki, Rajya Sabha MP, and and the president of the NPP Meghalaya unit. Dr. Karluki, as an important political leader of a neighboring state, how would you see the first 1 year of the Himanta Biswa Sarma government in Assam?
Well, the way I'm seeing it, from across, like from my state, I think Assam is lucky to have a very dynamic leader in the leadership of Himanta Biswa.
Now, Dr. Karluki, what are the qualities? What are some of the qualities that you see in Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma?
No, the thing is, I may not be so close, looking into Assam, but from a distance, like from my state, one thing which I really admire him was during that pandemic, where he doesn't care about himself, the way he walk, how to handle and tackle the pandemic. And then also, he is a person who dare to make decision, especially when it comes to especially the boundary dispute with my state. I really appreciate him. That he is a person who dare to take decision.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm coming back to you soon, Mr. Swapan Das Gupta. Let me quickly go to Dr. Nanigopal Mohanto. Dr. Nanigopal Mohanto, apart from being a commentator, apart from working with him in his government now, you've also been a very, very close friend and associate of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. You may not be very objective, but in your assessment. But we'd like to hear from you about Himanta Biswa Sarma, the man, and his style of work. You have been associated with him ever since he became active in politics and even during his student days.
Well, Wasbir, I would still call my observation as with an element of objectivity, because my objectivity will be based on certain foundational, parameters.
Yes.
Will be verifiable for all to see. That is number one. But coming to, on a more serious note, I believe, Himanta Biswa Sarma, he has redefined politics. Redefined politics in the sense that there is a fundamental difference between politics as pursued by pre or post, pre-Himanta Biswa Sarma phase and post-Himanta Biswa Sarma. What is the difference? The difference is that in other cases, I see the most of the politicians or even the head of the government, they were driven by, it was essentially bureaucracy-driven government. And in case of Himanta Biswa Sarma, actually he is the person who is driving the vehicle. I have seen I have seen him, taking evaluation of each and every department. The amount or the magnitude of knowledge he possesses about various departments, right from financial issues, right from educational and implementation issues, I believe these are phenomenal. And he has redefined the politics in the sense that precisely because he is a very unconventional politician. He is a celebrity politician. Why I call him a celebrity politician? Because if you look at other politicians, they are very conventional, suave, mostly confine themselves to the four corridors of this poor secretariat. But he is one such person, he reaches out to the people. I'll just give one example. Recently, few days back, there was a meeting, it was a kind of introspective meeting about various performance of various MLAs and ministries. There, what he did was, a 95-year-old lady was waiting for him. He went out of his comfort zone.
I just talk about that.
And this is how he reaches out to the people, and he was immediately taken over by media. It's not something that is a political gimmick. He genuinely
Genuinely,
thinks about that.
genuinely.
And on top of that, he has utilized all the modern arsenals of reaching out to the people like Facebook, like Twitter, and other,
Absolutely.
Instagram and others. And in the process, he has earned himself with a very honorific title, which is known to as Mama. Mama is something which is very dearly called by various young generations. So what
Yes.
I'm trying to say is that he is a politician who is driving the vehicle. He is in charge and he is a rebel by himself. Why I call him a rebel? A rebel because he defies status quoism. He doesn't believe in the existing system of the government. He wants to transform them for the benefit of the people. The way he is transforming governance, the way he is transforming administration by
Right.
means of various
Right.
digital means.
Right.
I will explain all those what he has
Absolutely.
tried to bring to the people.
Yeah.
So that's why I call him a rebel. He's
Yeah.
a rebel because he is trying to, transform the whole system by bringing whole the administration, politicians, ministers. And one thing I would like to tell, and then I conclude, one IS officer, he is from IIT and he is from IIM. Then he got into IS and he is now into a principal secretary. What he told me, the way he prepares when he tries to face the Honorable Chief Minister, he says, generally I take care of everything. I know what kind of questions will be asked, but always Chief Minister amages him by asking those issues which he is not prepared.
Absolutely. That is Himanta Biswa Sarma. I'll have to go for a break, but I can see veteran Congress leader Mr. Ninong Ering on the screen, and also I can also see Dr. Sapam Ranjan, the very, very vocal Health Minister of Manipur. Welcome, Mr. Ninong Ering, and welcome, Dr. Sapam Ranjan Singh from Imphal. I will go for a very, very quick break, and when I come back, I'll go to Mr. Ninong Ering and Dr. Sapam Ranjan in Imphal. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Okay, let's go to Pasighat, where I'm joined by Mr. Ninong Ering, veteran Congress leader, former MP, and currently the Congress MLA. Mr. Ninong Ering, well, I'm very much aware that you belong to the Congress party. I'm also aware that you are a very objective political leader. What do you think of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, his style of administration? Since you belong to a neighboring state, you have been a close observer of things around you. What would you like to say about the first year of the Himanta Biswa Sarma government? What are some of the qualities that strike you?
Good evening and namaste.
Namaste.
I have not interacted personally with Himanta Biswa Sarma during this last few years after he joined BJP. But when he was with the Congress, I've seen as a firebrand man. He was a person non-compare. He was a true leader. And when we were in the same party and a lot of issues were there, I used to discuss with Madam Sonia ji and with Mr. Rahul Gandhi ji and also with my very close friend Mr. Gaurav Gogoi. And we had said that if we lose this man, we may lose the whole of the Northeast. So unfortunately, whatever steps had been taken, like I said, he's a firebrand. So when he pierces through the hearts of all the people. Like I was just hearing your interview and listening to the panel discussion. Himanta Biswa Sarma is a man you cannot compare with others. Of course, we have my chief minister, Sri Pema Khandu, even though I'm from the Congress. But those who do well, like Conrad Sangma, my younger brother, Pema Khandu is like a son to me, and Himanta Biswa Sarma is my chota bhai. So, but what I've seen now at the latest through the media and through the social network, I've seen the way that he's going forward, on the women's empowerment, on the boundary issues, on the, the education institutions, the medical colleges that are coming up, the cancer institutes that have just been inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, and the way even Mr. Tata had appreciated him and how he has gone about with the large-scale work. So if we take all this into consideration, we'll say that Himanta Biswa Sarma is a person non-compar. And I really hope that he does well, and he's an inspiring spirit for all of us. And we hope that in future he takes not only Assam, but whole of the Northeast together and bring, the difference that we had been lost for so many years.
So, Mr. Ninong Ering ji, you admit that Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma's exit from the Congress has been a huge loss to the party, and it has made a whole lot of political equations which was absolutely unfavorable to the Congress in the Northeast at least.
I think all the panelists who are there with me also will agree. Say, let it be in Meghalaya, let it be in Assam itself, let it be in Mizoram, let it be in Manipur. So all the states, we have done very badly in the last elections also. And until and unless we look back to our faults, it will be very difficult for us to even counter the spearheading of Himanta Biswa Sarma, who is like a general, and he's taking the whole army forward. But the way I would like to put in is that yes, Himanta Biswa Sarma is doing very well, and especially just recently I had heard that Conrad Sangma and himself had a very good discussion. Our Honorable Chief Minister Sri Pema Khandu is doing very well with the boundary issue, because we have the problem with the boundaries. He has problems with all the states. But at least for all these states, I would like to request Honorable Chief Minister Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma through your channel that see Arunachal Pradesh or other states were all part of Assam. We were Assam. But just because some fictitious boundary line was drawn, that does not mean that the parts of Arunachal would be parts of Assam, or some parts of Assam would be in Arunachal, or likewise in all the other states. But what I want to really, through your channel, would like to plead, that we were all under Assam. Assam was our parents.
Absolutely.
And when the parents have been, we have been given a share of land or property or gold or whatever that is. After a family separates, you give him his rights. We are his children. We are her children. And when we have now all these issues all said and done, we cannot have that kind of small grudges that we have. We are part of Assam. We were Assam.
Right.
So these things have to be taken into consideration.
Absolutely.
Through your channel, I would request him that please take it as is, where is. The status quo has to be maintained. And likewise, he's doing in Meghalaya. He should do that in Arunachal at a very early date.
Absolutely. At this juncture, I'd like to welcome Mr. Temjen Imna Along. Temjen Imna Along, Cabinet Minister and the BJP President of Nagaland. Temjen, welcome to the show. I'm just coming to you in a minute. Can you hear me, Temjen Imna Along? Okay, Temjen Imna Along, welcome. Let me go to Dr. Sapam Ranjan. Dr. Sapam Ranjan is is the Health Minister of Manipur, a very, very respected and vocal political leader of the state. Dr. Sapam Ranjan, watching from a distance, what do you think of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma? What changes do you think he has brought to the Northeast as a whole?
First of all, I would like to give a very big congratulations to the Assam government and Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, who is the Chief Minister of Assam. I'm getting a lot of echo.
I can hear you.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay now? Yeah. The first time I met Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma was way back in 2011, and more closely was just prior to our 2017 elections in 2016. In Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, what I have seen in him is his down-to-earth, and he has been an inspiration to many of us. and he's, I would call him a master strategist. And the way he works, his, I would say, workaholic. And I remember during the run-up to the campaign in 2017, we really didn't know when did he sleep. And after the elections, during the time of our government formation, he was just, he could just spend the whole day and night, strategizing what we need to do. And so we used to ask him, "Sir, when do you sleep?" And he says, "I just slept," and then just for half an hour, and he comes back fresh. So I would say, and being a very down-to-earth person, and I think he knows how to gel with every people, with every section of the society. And I think during your last year's election in Assam, the way he has campaigned and his style of campaigning, he carried everyone along, and all hats goes to him that Assam has a very, very good government now, and
Right.
a government that cares, and a chief minister who really cares for every section of the society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I am also welcome Nalin Kohli, the BJP national spokesperson, joining me from New Delhi, and a Supreme Court lawyer. Nalin Kohli, welcome. I'm just coming to you in a minute's time. Just give me a minute. Mr. Tamjan Imnalong, the BJP president from Nagaland. Okay, line is disrupted. Let me go direct then to Nalin Kohli. Mr. Nalin Kohli, welcome. Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma's government has completed a year in office. You have worked closely with him. You know him. The BJP, everybody gets a chance to work, especially the people who can work. What do you comment? What are your thoughts today? How do you see Himanta Biswa Sarma as a leader of your party?
We've known Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma for several years and had the pleasure and privilege of working with him. There are many things about him, many facets. He is a man with boundless energy. I mean, sometimes I wonder when does he sleep. And I think he constantly takes that inspiration from Prime Minister Modi. Because, he says that just as in the center, you have Prime Minister Modi's government working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Because that's how every government must work, and that's the model that he wants to follow. When he joined the party, and after the Congress party made sure that he left the Congress, I remember giving my thanks to a TV channel and saying this is Rahul Gandhi's gift on a gold platter to the Congress, to the BJP, because he has not just ensured that the BJP would do well in the state of Assam, but even beyond the entire Northeast. And Dr. Sarma has got that opportunity in BJP to work under Prime Minister Modi, Mr. Amit Shah, Mr. J.P. Nadda now as our party president, Santosh Shia, General Secretary organization. He's worked with all of them. And look at it. We have BJP government. He's chairman of the NIDA, which is a developmental mission. So he's aiming to convert Assam into a powerhouse, an economic powerhouse. He's in effect giving reality to the empty policy of Prime Minister Modi. It's not just looks, it is acting. And Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, by economically making Assam an engine of growth, is ensuring that all the Northeast states in turn will grow economically.
Okay, Nalin.
Assam will become the national roadmap.
Right.
In terms of the economic powerhouse of the country.
Absolutely. I have a slight problem with your audio, Nalin. I would request my producers to check the line once again, disconnect and reconnect once again with Nalin Kohli. He was saying some very significant thing. We heard it, but we'll have a better line with him. We'll try for a better line. Tamjan Imnalong, as a leader, as a political leader of a neighboring state, Tamjan Imnalong, what are your thoughts today? What changes has Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma brought to the relations between the states within the Northeast?
First of all, Wasbir, good evening.
Good evening.
Congratulations to the people of Assam for completing 1 year of
Himanta
Biswa Sarma ji's government, the BJP government under his leadership. Wasbir, I am first of all very awestruck by SBS leadership. He is the super CM of the Northeast. Not only because he is from Assam, but he being an assertive leader, we have seen the way he handles the problems of the neighboring states. Even with regards to the Assam-Nagaland border issue, he has been quite proactive in making sure that the sentiments of the people in both sides of the border are not hurt. And being a big brother, being the largest state with the more manpower and economic power in the Northeast, he has been able to not only take Assam into a resurgent Assam, but also he has been able to take along in this 1 year his willingness of leadership to take along his neighbors and help everyone do well together.
Absolutely.
So as a neighboring state politician and a fellow BJP colleague, we are proud that our Himanta Da is the chief minister not only for Assam, but a great super CM for the whole Northeast.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go once again. Let me go once again to Mr. Sopan Das Gupta. Mr. Sopan Das Gupta, I don't know whether Nalin Kohli's line is fixed or not. I have no idea. Let me go to you once again, Mr. Sopan Das Gupta. As an MP, you had the privilege of working closely with the BJP top brass. You know what the party looks for in a leader. My question is, do you see Himanta Biswa Sarma as a leader who will only rise in the party hierarchy in terms of key responsibilities? Sopan Das Gupta.
See, the point about rising in the party hierarchy, BJP is a very open party.
Yeah.
In the sense that there is no permanent assignment that only people who are in central politics will rise, people who are in state politics will have to remain only in the state. Narendra Modi himself was a person who moved from central politics to state politics and then was catapulted back into central politics as the prime minister. We have similar cases like that where there is a movement of things. Himanta Biswa Sarma is, to my mind, cut out for a national role. But for the moment, I think what is very important is that for the past 6 years, first under Sarbanand Sonowal and now under Himanta Biswa Sarma, the task of getting Assam and the northeastern state back on the development agenda has worked very well. Today, the peace which has come in the region, the relative peace which has come in the region, has been a major factor. Also, the peace has enabled those massive infrastructural investments which had been pending for decades to be actually put into place. Now, the importance of the infrastructural developments is that has a spin-off that generates employment, that creates linkages, connectivity, etc. And Assam today stands, because of that political stability, stands in the forefront of getting that dividend from these investments. And I have no doubt that the skill with which Himanta Da runs the administration, that he manages to take people along, that he manages to take the bureaucrats along, is, to my mind, a very, very important thing.
Absolutely.
He is a man who has a natural flair for all dimensions of politics, both the street politics, educational politics, and, to my mind, the conduct of the administration.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even today, Mr. Sopan Das Gupta, just a short while ago, Dr. Himanta, you said that he has the ability to take people along. Even the bureaucracy he has the ability to take along. Just as at the government function marking the 1 year of his office, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma complimented the Chief Secretary of Assam and the entire, entire staff, entire employees of the Assam government for working, beyond their call of duty in implementing the programs and plans and programs of the government. That is something extremely unique. Let me once again turn to Dr. Kharlukhi, the Meghalaya NPP president. I will quickly come to all of them, Tamjan Imnalong, Mr. Ninong Ering, Mr. Sapam Ranjan. But quickly once again to Dr. Kharlukhi. Do you agree, Dr. Kharlukhi, that Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has played the role of someone who has succeeded in bringing out an united voice from the Northeast?
Yes, I think so. And, I am one with him. Because I do feel, like even in our party, we have the, one of our motto, one voice, one Northeast. What the Northeast needs is a leadership like Himanta Biswa. Because what I feel is that a united Northeast will be heard in Delhi. A divided Northeast, like what I said to the people wherever I go, I said a united Northeast we demand from Delhi. A divided Northeast and not united Northeast we beg to Delhi. I think high time that Northeast produce a leader, and I do hope that Himanta will be the leader.
Absolutely. Mr. Nalin Kohli, if you can hear me, you have heard the Meghalaya NPP president, Dr. Kharlukhi, Rajya Sabha MP, says that Himanta Biswa Sarma is able to bring about an united voice from the Northeast and made the voice heard in Delhi. He said that a united voice from the Northeast is helpful for the region and a divided Northeast will never be heard in Delhi. So do you also agree with this perception that he has been an unifying factor of the 8 Northeastern states?
Well, he's a very critical factor to the politics of the Northeast. That's why when he joined the party, I remember telling the media that this is Rahul Gandhi's gift on a gold platter to the BJP. It's not just Assam, but the whole Northeast, because Dr. Sarma has worked closely with all Northeast, and his vision is to ensure that Prime Minister Modi's Act East policy becomes a reality in the Northeast. Assam becomes that engine and the anchor of it to develop. And the other Northeast states, along with Assam, are able to become an economic powerhouse for India. So there's no doubt about what Dr. Kharlukhi is saying, and I think it makes complete sense.
Absolutely. We have Mr. Ninong Ering on the show, Mr. Nalin Kohli. Mr. Ninong Ering, veteran Congress leader, former MP, currently an MLA of the Congress, on the show. He was just said before you joined, he said that, the Congress realized that Himanta Biswa Sarma should never be left out of the party, but ultimately they could not retain him. And this is one of the reasons why. Would you like to tell something to Mr. Nalin Kohli, Ninong Ering ji?
We have met before also, and across these discussions also. When I was Union Minister also, that time also I had met him. So even during a flight, I had really appreciated him. Besides our separate parties, I'm really grateful to him.
We are basically talking about Himanta Biswa's, the Congress's loss is the BJP's gain. He has transformed the entire political equations in the northeastern region by bringing all the regional parties together.
Yes, that we'll have to accept, because when he was Honorable Minister Health, he made that alliance where all the NPP or even from Nagaland or from Mizoram, they all came together and they formed this group. So the Northeastern Alliance. So I think that made a very big dent on the Congress party, and we had to lose in most of the states, all the states.
Absolutely.
That we have to accept.
Absolutely. Let me go once to Mr. Dr. Sapam Ranjan, the Health Minister of Manipur. Dr. Sapam Ranjan, in 2017, we are talking about the NEDA that was formed in 2016 after the BJP won the elections in Assam. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah entrusted the responsibility of BJP's alliance in the entire northeastern region, floated the NEDA and put Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma in charge. And you have seen the result in 2017. The Congress had emerged as the largest single party in Manipur, but it was your party that could form the government. So even that time, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma played a key role in bringing the regional parties to the BJP fold. Dr. Sapam Ranjan.
Yes, he played a very, very key role. In fact, the most important role during the formation of the government then. It is his ability, to have a cordial relations with all the leaders of Northeast. And being a master strategist, he did manage to get in touch with many of the other leaders and try and bring the government together. And so in 2017, under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri N. Biren Singh, the government in 2017 was formed then with the alliance of the other party, the NPP, the NPF, the LJP, and Independent. And we managed to break the Congress and to bring about that Congress Mukt Bharat, and especially in Northeast, we managed to have that Congress Mukt Northeast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before once again coming to Mr. Nalin Kohli and Sopan Das Gupta, let me once again go to Mr. Temjen Imna Along, the BJP president from Nagaland. Mr. Temjen Imna Along, Nagaland is at a very critical juncture at this point in time as far as the Naga peace talks are concerned. Everybody is only asking one question: when is the Naga peace accord going to be signed? And in this also, one can understand, although it is not open, but Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has been keeping a close watch on the situation. Do you think, he will also have a prominent role in that? How do you see things unfolding in the days ahead?
Wasbir, Dr. Himanta Da is already playing a very important role in the Naga peace talks. He is, together with the Honorable Chief Minister of Nagaland and the core committee, and also as a man entrusted by Delhi central leadership, he is able to bridge the gap of communication. And he also being a leader of the Northeast, he knows very well the issues and the thought processes of the Naga people to a lot. And he is able to have the faith and trust of the leaders, the Naga leaders, and also at the same time, the trust and the faith of our central leaders, especially our National Home Minister, Shri Amit Shah ji. So when it will be signed or how it will be signed, I'm not the right person to comment on that. But according to what we know, it is very close. And when we met the Honorable Prime Minister also, he said very clearly that he is willing to go and give this solution once and for all if we all agree.
Right. I'll be going to Mr. Pallab Losan Das and Mr. Pabitra Margarita, two very young member of parliaments of the BJP from Assam. But before that, Mr. Nalin Kohli, I'm also coming to Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta and Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, two very respected commentators in the studios. But Nalin Kohli, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma also has a pan-India appeal. Now, we'd like to know from you, why is this pan-India appeal? How are people outside the Northeast connecting with Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma? We have seen recently the massive craze for him in Telangana when he was in Uttarakhand, and he was campaigning under very difficult circumstances in West Bengal. What do you think, Nalin?
Because I had also said earlier on, Wasbir, the man has enormous energy. One wonders when he sleeps, and one wonders how does he also, in that sense, keep up. And he seems to be this engine of energy, wanting to do for the party, for the people, inspired by Prime Minister Modi, working closely with the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, the party president, Mr. Nadda. So he keeps himself constantly working. But, I have a way, I was just today reading something, Wasbir, and it was interesting to note that if you look at Assam, from the time India got independence to now. So the first Chief Minister, Lokpriya Gopinath Bordoloiji, was a lawyer. Dr. Sarma is a lawyer. And that was also a critical time in terms of seeing that the state and its population was not inundated or did not become part of East Pakistan. And if you look at today, there's a war against infiltration, there's a war against drugs, there's a war against nefarious activities that's there. So it's almost as if he's trying to take that vision of the first Chief Minister, or Lokpriya Gopinath Bordoloiji, and Dr. Sarma is trying to build it into that with the vision that Assam will be the powerhouse and one of the powerhouses of India, not just a state of the Northeast, as a powerhouse of the Northeast. So I think we need to give credit to the enormous work that's happened in 1 year in terms of what has been, for women specifically, looking at making Assam crime-free or focusing on the criminals in a big way and eliminating that, giving out schemes for every segment of society, looking at economic investments increasing in Assam, despite COVID coming here, managing it in a manner that nationally also it became a matter of discussion that how Assam is looking at it and controlling it. So I think there's a very big success story here. And people across the country must know more about it.
Even today, Mr. Nalin Kohli, the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, addressing the people, talked about how Assam successfully combated COVID. He was quite elaborately described the efforts of the Assam government in combating COVID. I'll come back to you in a while. Let me go to Mr. Pallab Losun Das. Yes, Nalin, you were saying something.
I'm saying that it'll be good to hear the others too, and
Absolutely.
especially now that you've got two young MPs and colleagues in the party with whom I work too.
Yeah, Mr. Pallab Losun Das, Lok Sabha MP from Assam, young BJP leader. Pallab, you have been working closely with Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma for many years now, earlier with the Congress and now with the BJP. How is he as a leader? What are the qualities in him that you like and admire the most? Pallab.
See, I am very fortunate and I am very lucky that I got the opportunity to work with Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. I have started my political career with him and I have seen him, that hard work, the commitment and the administrative skill. I have never seen people like him. And when he is a mass leader, when he is go to the people, that way the people loves him, people want to touch him, and I have also seen him as administrator, how he knows very well how to administer, and he from 2003 till today, people are watching him closely, how he is style of work, how he is function, and that political connectivity with the people, that is his quality. He always think about people. Whenever we had a discussion with about the issues and problems, he always talk about the people's issues, people's emotions, their problem. And that's why if you see in the tribals, he is most popular. In the tea gardens, he is most popular. If you see the intellectual people, he is the most popular. From a child to an oldest person, everybody likes him like anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me. I'm coming back to you, Pallab, in a short while. Let me go once to Mr. Pabitra Margharita, the BJP, again a BJP MP from Assam. Pabitra, what difference do you think Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has brought to Assam during the past 1 year?
Thanks, Wasbir Ka. And at the very outset, I would like to take the opportunity to thank people of Assam and the Northeast, of course, for the support to our party, to our government. And I congratulate Assam government, especially our Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, for the successful completion of the first year of this new journey. Yes, you have asked me what's the difference I have seen or experienced in this first year of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma's government. The difference is crystal clear, and every aspect of the overall development is vividly visible. You see the difference, especially in the case of
law and order situation and good governance and the infrastructure development, right from school, colleges to new bridges upon the river Brahmaputra or the tributaries, the roads in suburban areas, rural areas, and in the towns and city. Right from infrastructure to education to cultural and sports to cultural sports, everywhere Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma and the team Assam is working very hard, and the result is clear. And especially I should mention one thing, that he has given focus in good governance. For example, just the project Basundhara. Can one imagine that within a short period of time, more than 8 lakhs of cases related to land and revenue is resolved? Almost 95% of the cases related to land disputes and sale or procurement is resolved. 8 lakhs cases. So this is a simple example of good governance. And everybody across the country is appreciating Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma and Team Assam because of the step it has taken against the menace of drugs. For drugs eradication, drugs eradication, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma and the Team Assam, that is Government of Assam, is working so hard. The result is visible everywhere.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, I mean, a leader of that stature of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, a capable leader. You have heard Ninong Ering ji being a Congress leader. The Congress realized his potential, but still could not retain. Do you think, just a hypothetical question, do you think Himanta Biswa Sarma is largely responsible for the BJP's huge success in the whole of the Northeast? I mean, we have to be, because what we have seen from the outside, he has been single-handedly, to a great extent, instrumental in stitching alliances among the regional political parties. He has been giving a strategy that even if you have the numbers, like in Assam, the BJP on its own had the numbers, but still continued with its alliance partners. Do you think these are, as Nani Gopal Mohanto has said, as Dr. Nani Gopal Mohanto said, that he has changed the dynamics of politics, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. I'll definitely speak on that, but we'll do justice if we also have some critical understanding and critical perspective on Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. Definitely, the kind of political narratives which has been brought about by Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, which was not there in Assam earlier. As I was telling, that the whole Hindutva politics has been given a new direction by Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. But history will judge whether it has really been good for the society or not. So, if you look at that, the ethnic parties have been brought together, and BJP couldn't do it earlier. But it has been done through the civilizational discourse, and that civilizational discourse has also brought division in the society. When you say 65% by Bajaj, 35%, remember Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma is the Chief Minister of 3.3 crore population of Assam, and there is a huge follower of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, sex, and so on and so forth. Even among the Bengali Muslims, I can tell you, I teach in the university, I keep on meeting the young minds or young students from all across the society, even from Bengali Muslim. There is a huge follower of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. Now, the kind of narratives which has come about, talking in terms of that this particular community is a threat to this, culture and history and society of Assam. I think it's a political narrative. I'll not say that it is a communal narrative, but in the long run, I'm very apprehensive that it might have a lot of, yes. So I'm just telling it that we have to be very careful about it.
Let me get a response to that from Nalin Kohli first, and then Nali Gopal Mohanto, and then go to the other panelists, Nimna Along, Dr. Sapam, and Ninong Ering. Nalin Kohli, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta is a very well-known commentator and critical admirer, as he said, very critical admirer of Himanta Biswa Sarma. And a lot of people accuse Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta of having leftist leanings. I don't know whether he will admit that or not. But
Nothing wrong if he's having leftist.
but
Nothing
but-
wrong. I have it.
Nothing. No, I'm just trying to educate Nalin Kohli about Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta's background. But his contention that this his Hindutva narrative has been basically, he is apprehensive about its long-term impact on society.
Well, I think everyone's entitled to have a point of view. And Dr. Datta, whether it is leftist, rightist, or whatever, is entitled to put out that point of view.
Yes.
But I would not respectfully agree with him. Because in terms of this classification that it's a Hindutva identity, we should look at it from the perspective of how Assam has actually suffered the onslaught of hordes of immigrants from across the border, to the detriment of even the Assamese Muslim. So it's not as if the Assamese indigenous Hindu is only the sufferer. Even the Assamese Muslim has suffered because of what these voters, they came in as voters literally and changed the entire demographic landscape. There are districts in which the indigenous people of Assam, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, tribals, all of them are a minuscule minority. So I think that's something which is not a Hindutva agenda. It's an agenda for the people of Assam. If you are strengthening it. And on the second part of it is that when we look at the Hindutva agenda, and Swapan, of course, is a very, very learned commentator, one who is, in fact, an ideologue, who writes very well. I'll let him also probably potentially, he may wish to say something on it. But this is part of a larger national narrative about India and Indianness, about not allowing us to be subservient to any kind of thought that is not rooted in our cultural, in our civilizational heritage.
Right. And let me turn to Mr. Swapan Dasgupta. Mr. Swapan Dasgupta, I mean, see, unifying the ethnic, as Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta said, unifying the ethnic parties, that means the regional political parties in the Northeast. Now, do you think, I was asking this question earlier also to another panelist. Now, do you think the voice of the Northeast has been, in the Delhi's radar now? That Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has to unify these political parties and present a unified voice in Delhi.
This was overdue. You're right in saying that in the past, the Northeast was either neglected or taken for granted. One of the two. Now, that also resulted in certain vested interests growing up in certain insurgent movements. And you know exactly what I mean when I say that certain people will love to have the insurgency alive just because it suited their very narrow purpose. Today, what we are seeing is that the resources which have been accrued from the center to the states are actually being channeled in a proper direction for investment in infrastructure, for investments in welfare, which should have been done in the first place. And I think that is an important paradigm shift in the context of Assam and the Northeast.
Right. Now, one more thing. Now, how important has this been for a big party like the BJP? I'm asking about the alliances under the banner of NIDA, the alliances with the smaller regional parties. Now, for a big party like the BJP, now Dr. Sapam Ranjan is sitting there in Imphal. Now, this time the BJP had the numbers. Even then, the BJP kept the smaller alliance partners with them. Mr. Swapan Dasgupta, how important has this been for a big party like yours?
It is very important. It is extremely important. India is a very, very diverse country. There are lots of regional forces. There are lots of small community forces, which for historic reasons have sought a separate voice for themselves, a voice which they can control totally. Hence, that is the reason why regional parties have sprung up in various places. They look to the regional parties to protect their little interests, So you have parties like the NPP, you have the BJP in alliance with one of the Bodo groups. These are very important because it is not the case that the impression that a big national party will swallow up everything.
Right.
And put everything into one pot is very important. So we of course would encourage people to join the BJP, make the BJP stronger, but not at the cost of the perception that somehow it is being bulldozed in such a way that all regional voices are being stamped out. So for the moment, if people find that a regional party is also is important in in supplementing the national voice, then I think they will do it. But as I said, it's a relationship which is born out of respect. It's a relationship born out of a recognition of certain historical realities.
Now, Mr. Ninong Ering, that is where the Congress has failed, isn't it? That is where the Congress party has failed to stitch alliances. Now, this is a very unique experiment that has, got rich dividends for the BJP. They have the numbers, but still they have the, regional parties with them. Manipur. I will take reaction from Sapam Ranjan himself, but Ninong Ering ji, yes.
वाजपेयी जी, जिसका लाठी उसका भैंस, तो पूर्वोत्तर राज्यों में तो आप जानते ही हैं, हमारा कोई अपना resources नहीं होते. So we have to depend on the center, and when the center is such, it comes out as strong force, it's very difficult for us to survive. So, but when we come to on the comments that how Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma is doing on a personal way, I'm saying, not from the party side, I'm not speaking from the party, but from my personal view, I'll really say that Himanta Biswa Sarma has done very well on the women empowerment, on the law and order, on the communication, on the education system, and also on the health. The only thing that he has just started now, and which the Congress government should have done long time back, is the boundary issues. If these boundary issues are resolved, then I think he will be the best chief minister Assam has ever had.
Absolutely.
And let me be frank. Just let me complete. I'll say, because I myself was a circle officer in 1981, and I've seen the issues right on the ground. I had some adversaries like ESC, Mr. Hajarika, and a circle officer, SDC, Mr. Pegu. You'll see that the land has been occupied more than 3 kilometers right north into Arunachal Pradesh. But we don't mind. We have already surrendered those lands. And of course, our people are on the Assam also. They have their pattas and all, giving revenue to Assam. But like I said, जो चीज हमको दिए थे उसको आप वापस ले रहे हैं, लेकिन उसमें भी हम संतुष्ट हैं. जो अभी का situation, as is where is on the status quo,
right,
we should not have these small issues. And I would request Honorable Chief Minister Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma to take all the parties together, irrespective, let it be in the Congress, take us together. Let us fight together for the Northeast. Let us go to the center. Take all the chief ministers with us. Let us fight that. You must do something for not only for Arunachal Pradesh or Assam, but for the whole Northeast. Because we are the people who are fighting the borders, like say even in Myanmar, let it be in Bangladesh, let it be in China. So you have to take serious note on that and take us all together.
That is a very big statement coming from Mr. Ninong Ering, calling upon Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma to lead all the parties together and take up issues of the Northeast in New Delhi. Dr. Nanigopal Mohanto, another major initiative, I'll take the comments from Nalin Kohli and Swapan Dasgupta on this as well before coming to Mr. Sapam Ranjan on specific issues and Mr. Temjen Imna along. Dr. Nanigopal Mohanto, one of the big initiatives that Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma took immediately after assuming office is his initiative towards the indigenous Assamese Muslims. Never before in the 70 years after independence, none of the chief ministers has ever even called the Assamese Muslim community, asked their grievances and tried to do something to further uplift and fulfill their aspirations. This has been well appreciated by the community. What do you think of this initiative? Do you think this has the potential to change certain stereotypical narratives?
Wasbir, I'll raise 2-3 issues here. This will be my last comment. Please allow me 2 minutes, okay? Now coming to what Professor Akhilanjan Datta has said, it is also related to what you have asked. I think this is a very fundamental question, and it is in the minds of many people today regarding the Hindutva issue and the inclusive character of the present regime. I think it's a very burning question that is there among many, whether you will call yourself leftist, rightist, different thing. And coming to the indigenous people or Muslims, and it is truism that the concept of Muslim is not a homogeneous concept. We have Bengali Muslims, East Bengal origin Muslims, then we have indigenous Muslim population like Goria, Moria, or Desi, Maimal. And Himanta Biswa Sarma is now basically trying to articulate those indigenous population in Muslim population precisely because they are increasingly isolated from the politics of who gets what, when and how. So this is a first to the post politics. In this kind of parliamentary politics, our indigenous Muslim populations are largely left out. So this is a very democratic exercise which I welcome. But coming to what Professor Akhilanjan Datta talked about, the Hindutva politics and question of inclusiveness. Now this is a very important question precisely because this issue of Hindutva, there are 2 issues into it. One is the ideological component, one is the identity component. Now ideological component, I leave it to Swapan Dasgupta for his views on ideological issues of Hindutva. But coming to the identity issue, there is a very fuzzy definition whether you call it a Hindutva politics or identity politics precisely because this question of Muslims being left out, this question did not come in the 50s, 60s, 70s. This question came in the post-Assam agitation. Why? Because many of Assam's constituency out of 126, many of the constituencies, I have listed about 22 constituencies in my book, which are gradually overtaken by population of East Bengal origin. So the question is, and even now today AGP, I can give on many examples of those constituencies which once were held by the AGP, now this has been taken over by AIDF, Congress or any other political parties. So the question is that there is a huge demographic change occurring in the state of Assam. So there is a fuzzy line regarding whether you call it a Hindutva politics where of course there is an ideological dimension, but my point is that there is a huge identity issue attached to it which we cannot ignore.
Absolutely.
And secondly, just my last point is that there is a question of political inclusiveness of the minority people. But my point is that the present government's welfare policies benefit the minority people. In fact, if I can say more than many other people, I will give you a few examples. For example, the Adarsh Vidyalaya, these are new quality schools under CBSE which are there in Barpeta district. The maximum number of Adarsh Vidyalaya are there in Barpeta district. The Fulbari bridges, which is one of the largest investment in the major infrastructural sector. Then Rupsi Airport, medical colleges in Dhubri, Gwalpara and Barpeta. 9 new women law colleges that are
so these are the initiatives.
Scholarship for the minorities, girls today. So what I'm trying to say
is a serious initiative, not tokenism. That's what.
Just one sentence I'll add to complement what Professor Mohanta said. That was what I was telling. That this government under the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has been taking a lot of initiatives even for the development of that community. But then the whole narrative might get deeper into the psyche of the people and create challenges for us. That is my apprehension and concern.
Okay, let me go to Nalin Kohli. Mr. Nalin Kohli, sitting in New Delhi, that initiative that Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has taken for the Assamese speaking Muslims, that sets to debunk lot of myths, a lot of people, that stereotypical narrative about the BJP. Do you think this is going to change the narrative? Do you think this has the potential to, it has the potential to be replicated somewhere else? Do you think this is a good
I think you need to bear in mind that this is exactly what Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's mission of the BJP government in India and at the centre is, as a Pradhan Sevak who works 24 hours a day for Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. And that is the agenda that every BJP government needs to work on. And I think when we talk specifically for the state of Assam, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, as the Chief Minister, is tirelessly 24 hours a day working exactly on this. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. So it's a national mission which has been unleashed in Assam as never before, in a manner that over the last 1 year, it's unimaginable at the pace at which things have been happening. I think for people like you, senior people who cover the government, other commentators are there, they would realize that the bureaucracy is rising to the occasion. The bureaucracy is also working literally till late night from early morning across the state to have cabinet meetings in districts. It's a concept which is so powerful that you take the administration away from the Guwahati, the capital, to the districts, which means ministers, MLAs, they are traveling, the administration is traveling on the ground, reviews can take place, and then of course, decisions are taken for the whole state in different parts of the state. It's weaving and strengthening federal sort of governance from a district level and the capital to a new level. So I think we need to complement many things that have happened. At the same time, we need to, congratulate the new government after Dr. Sarma has come in as the 15th Chief Minister 1 year ago, in terms of the initiatives that is done and in terms of making, and this is a mission that will happen for sure, making Assam an engine of economic growth in India and therefore, most importantly, also in the Northeast.
Absolutely. At this point, I'd like to thank Nalin Kohli, who has to go for some other engagement. Thanks, Nalin, for joining this show tonight. Let me quickly go once again to Mr. Sapam Ranjan, the Health Minister of Manipur, joining me from Imphal, Dr. Sapam Ranjan. Dr. Sapam Ranjan, you know, the war on drugs, this has been one of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma's first initiative as far as Assam was concerned. The day he took over the government, on the 10th of May last year, he had launched a never-before war on drugs. And in the last 1 year, drugs worth 550 crore rupees have been seized. Now, it appears that in Manipur, the government, the Chief Minister Biren Singh in his second term has also launched a war on drugs. His war on drugs was there during his earlier tenure also, but this time he seems to have reinforced it with much greater power and zeal. What do you think?
Wasbir, this drugs has been an issue for our state and the Northeast. Yes, our Honorable Chief Minister is very, very serious about this war on drugs. He has categorically gone on statement that no one should be spared if they are caught with drugs or if they are, anything related with drugs. And he has, within this just 1 month of our formation of the government, this Sri Biren II government, in continuation with what he has done in the previous term, he's really going hammer on tongs on all the people who are dealing with drugs, and he has given an ultimatum to surrender people who are dealing with drugs, to surrender at the right moment, or else whatever appropriate action has to be taken will be taken, and no one will be spared. And he is very serious on this.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a good step for our state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll go for a break, but when I come back, I'll go straight to Mr. Temjen Imna Along in Kohima to get his views on several issues concerning Assam and Nagaland. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Let me go straight to Mr. Temjen Imna Along, the BJP President, Cabinet Minister, joining me from Kohima live. Mr. Temjen Imna Along, basically the youths are connecting with Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. The northeastern youths also, there is a lot of comments. People are commenting on him. They want, whenever we do so, they want that we need leaders like this in the northeastern region. Now, how important is a united voice? Now, you have heard Ninong Ering ji from Arunachal Pradesh. He said that Himanta Biswa Sarma should be able to lead all parties. He has given a suggestion that he should take all the parties together and make a united voice of the Northeast heard in Delhi. How important is this?
Wasbir, first of all, we know very well how our northeastern states are. We have a very vibrant youth strength, especially from the age of around 15 to 55. The total population may be of the youth of around 60%. And somewhere from the rest of the country, the youth of the northeastern parts are more vibrant, assertive, active, and physically also, and in every activity, the northeastern youths are much forward-looking in many spheres. Now, here comes Dr. Himanta Da, who is our Super CM. We see him in every front, tackling everything, not escaping from any issues, dealing with every issue head alone. I would say that why would we talk about Dr. Himanta as only for Assam? Yes, he is the Chief Minister of Assam, but as a big brother, he has been assertively coming forth and listening to the issues of the states, which are very tribal and very regional in approach. And that is the reason why Dr. Himanta Da's leadership as a tall leader of BJP, who is heard in Delhi, is being looked upon not only by the youth, also by the regional parties. Because we know very well the regional parties have their regional ideology and identity and issues with which they forge their political leadership and future. But in national parties, especially like the Bharatiya Janata Party, we have a nationalist approach first to dealing with all the regional issues. So that's why I was saying in the beginning that Dr. Himanta Da has been able to bridge the gap for the aspirations of the regional people, the regional parties, and also have made him into a place where the regional parties in the platform of NEDA chairman, which he had come about, would approach him and through him approach Delhi.
Absolutely.
And that has been very successful today. So coming together of all parties, if the Congress would accept, we have no much issue, but the other parties are all in the NEDA platform. And Himanta Da is, even for Nagas, even for Mizos, even for the people of Meghalaya, Arunachal and Assam. And we are glad. So
that is
1 year of BJP government, Himanta Da's government, we pray that he'll have at least 30 years of that government.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a very significant point Temjen Imna Along has made. I will take a reaction from that from Mr. Ninong Ering, but I would like to go to Mr. Pavitra Margarita. Let's bring him closer. Pavitra Margarita, as a party man and as an MP, what kind of a confidence do you get having Dr. Sarma as your leader in the state?
Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma is a political, social statesman. He's a leader And as a party man, definitely he's our confidence, because what he speaks, he delivers, and he's so learned. So he's an experienced politician. He knows what's happening around the state and the Northeast, even the other parts of our country. He knows everything, and he, above all, he is a very dedicated karyakarta, a party man. The way he treats a minister or an MLA, the same way he treats a booth president. This is the specialty of his political journey. And the way he treats our political workers, our own party or our alliance, the same way he treats the people in general who are not at all related to politics. That is why the young generation call him Mama. That is why. So, as a party leader, really we feel really we are confident, we take pride of the statesmanship of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma.
Now, Mr. Pallab Losan Das, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma keeps himself super busy, as his better half, Riniki Bhuyan Sharma, said that he is a workaholic. Now, does he get angry or agitated at times, or does he go about his work coolly? How would you describe it?
He always know how to handle people, how to handle issues, and he knows when he interact with some political leaders, he know the art how to interact. When he interact with some administrator or some administrative service people, any officials, he know the art how to handle them, how to work with them. He knows. Sometimes it happens that he is angry whenever he thinks that this work should be done in this way. If you will not do accordingly his style of function, then he sometimes angry and he push that you have to work accordingly in this manner. This is his only thing. Otherwise he is very, if anything good suggestion, if you provide him some good suggestions, whoever, anyone can send him SMS, he always responds. Anything good suggestion, anything good, and he always listen carefully everybody. He is a very good listener. He is very good listener. That's why he is very much successful today.
No, let me ask you once again, Pavitra Margareta, what do you think of Sarma as a pan-India appeal? Why? He has been campaigning in states outside the Northeast. What are some of the reasons of his appeal outside the Northeast? Pavitra Margareta.
Since independence in pan-India scenario of politics, we have a very few number of political leaders, and we are lucky and really take pride that our Chief Minister, that is our Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, has a strong pan-India presence as a strong voice of Northeast. We have seen how people have seen how his campaigning in the states in the recently concluded assembly elections, right from Uttarakhand to other states, UPs and all. We have seen the way people of Assam treat him, love him. The same love and affection was seen in the Uttarakhand or UP elections, because after a long time, India has found a very strong voice in this eastern part or northeastern part of India. He is a good leader, he has experience, and the way he studies, knows all the things related to northeastern Assam, the same way he studies and he knows, and he has resolution also regarding the issues of the other parts of the country, because he is in this practical field of politics for the last 3 decades. That experience the experience of the last 3 decades have given him this paramount stature as a northeastern leader, and that is why he is accepted as a leader in the other parts also. So it's really we
Absolutely.
have seen
Now
how
let me turn to once again to Mr. Swapan Dasgupta. Sorry for that slightly long delay in coming back to you. Mr. Swapan Dasgupta, what does it mean? What does it mean when the major media organizations in the country lists Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma to be among the topmost in the most influential political leaders category?
I don't see any reason why not. You know, one of the biggest problems which we faced in the East, and I come from the East as well, is that somehow the East has, in political terms, been when I say has become not marginalized, but is marginal. That has been the case for a very long time. This has happened. You know, I think the last Eastern leader who really aspired in that big way was Subhash Chandra Bose. After that, whether it was Gopinath Bordoloi or someone else, Assam, even Torun Gogoi, who was the distinguished chief minister of Assam, was never taken, didn't, in my view, get the recognition that was due to his stature. As far as the Northeast is concerned, there have been individuals. There have been individuals who've played, but not as a representative of the Northeast. So I think if Himanta has managed to effect a shift, not only in perceptions, he has enhanced the strategic value of Assam and the Northeast in the larger political dispensation. And if BJP ever manages to win Bengal, then I think this will be a formidable thing, and I think this will be the tilting point, where the East will matter once again in a very, very big way, in the same way as UP matters, in the same way as the Western India, Maharashtra and Gujarat matter, in the same way as Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana matter.
Right. Let's bring in Dr. Kharluki. I'm running short of time. Let's bring in Dr. Kharluki one last time. Dr. Kharluki, cutting across party lines, Dr. Sharma talks and maintains good working relations with all the political leaders, cutting across party lines. What do you think of this? How has it benefited a party like the BJP, for instance?
Yes, and I do appreciate him because I have the same belief. We have political opponents, but we don't have enemies. There is no enemies. What we need in the North is that, okay, we may differ in a political belief, but for the Northeast, we have to come together and work for the benefit of the people of the Northeast.
Right. I want to ask Pavitra Margarita. I had a lot of things to ask you, Pavitra Margarita, but I have to skip because of shortage of time. I will have to ask you, as NEDA convener, he has been able to build a bridge with the regional forces. Now, how important has this been for your party? Because I had asked the same questions to other panelists as well, but I'd like to hear from you.
I've already mentioned, Wasbir, that yes, as a NEDA convener, he has already shown what a convener can do. So now NEDA is a united force of the regional parties, or along with BJP. So he has been successful in all the last Lok Sabha elections and the state elections, assembly elections as well. So apart from serving the Northeast as NEDA convener in the political arena, as a social worker also, he is working very hard for the unity of Northeast, with the capacity of Chief Minister, sometimes as a capacity of the Chief Minister, capacity as the NEDA convener, and as a statesman and as a popular public figure of Northeast. He is trying, we have seen it, he is trying to unite the entire Northeast as a force, as a power, as an engine of overall development, as always spoken by our Honorable Prime Minister, that Northeast should be the engine for the development of entire country. And following the ideology, the ideology and dream of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Himanta Biswa Sarma is working and following the same path for the development of entire Northeast.
Right. I'll come one last time to Pallab Lochan Das before giving the final words to Mr. Temja Nimna Along and Mr. Ninong Ering. Mr. Pallab Lochan Das, Himanta Biswa Sarma has become mama for the youths of Assam. What are some of the qualities that draws him to the younger generation? He has almost a rock star sort of an appeal among the youths.
Absolutely. See, in the early days, in the initial time, I have had somebody using this mama word to him for insulting him in that time. But he turned into such a way that everybody, like today, he always used the name the mama. Wherever he used to visit, everywhere shouting only, the mama is coming, mama is coming. He is very much popular among the youth because he has the quality to connect with the youth. How to connect with youth? If you observe, whenever he go to the public, he asks all the people, "Mur bhagin hokal bhal ase ne? Bhagin hokal tumalok bhale asa ne?" So in that way, he always interact with that our children or the students or that young people. He is very much popular, and I have seen that the way the boys, the girls, they want to click a picture with him, want to touch with his hand, want to hug him. In such a way, I have never seen such people.
Absolutely. I have to stop you there, Pallab Lochan Das. Absolutely running short of time. Final comments from you, Ninong Ering ji, before I give the last word to Temja Nimna Along. Ninong Ering ji.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Wasbir. देखिए, मंजिलें बहुत दूर हैं, लेकिन जो हमारा चुनौतियां हैं वो ढेर है. तो Himanta Biswa Sarma has got a very big challenge. I wish him all the luck, and really I want that our Donyi Polo, our Lord, should always bless him, and especially to you, how you're taking up the challenge of the Northeast. But like I said, that as Mr. Nalin had said, that sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, or sabka prayas. So let us take it in a good note. Let us end in a good note. And we all work together for the benefit of the Northeast, irrespective of the parties. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is a very, very appealing word from Ninong Ering. Final comments, Temja Nimna Along, to you.
Wasbir, the ethnic diversity, yet the individualism of the Northeastern people is completely seen in a positive way in the leadership of our most beloved Dr. Himanta Da. And we know that he will take it to greater heights and speak for all of the Northeast, knowing the individualistic attitude and ethnicity of the beauty of our Northeast, and lead not only Assam, but also the whole of the Northeast in line with the rest of the nation towards progress and development. So, a wonderful
absolutely
to Dr. Himanta.
Absolutely. This is what the mass appeal, cutting across party lines, that Himanta Biswa Sarma has an appeal with none other than veteran leader like Ninong Ering, calling upon Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma to lead all the political leaders, political parties, and come up with an united voice from the Northeast. As Mr. Sopandas Gupta said, united voice from the Northeast was long overdue. And Himanta Biswa Sarma is seen as an unifier of different voices from the northeastern region and uniting the regional forces and coming up with one single voice to be heard by the corridors of power in New Delhi. I thank all my panelists for participating in this special broadcast and the viewers for watching the program. Good night and goodbye.